Jake Paul beat another MMA fighter. No more. Maybe Alex Pereira, but other than Alex, no more. Mike Perry was a punching bag for Jake Paul for most of the fight. There were a couple times Mike Perry was able to land a left hook, as Jake also drops his hands at times, but he was the one that kept his hands up more than Mike Perry, which was a key defensive point for Mike Perry to win this fight. Keep your hands up, man. And he just didn't want to do it pretty much at all. Hands down at his waist, not even moving his feet much, not moving his head much unless he was throwing punches, but he wasn't throwing that many punches, so he was just kind of there to be hit the entire fight. Jake Paul's massive too. Do you guys see how big that guy was? He said he weighs 230 pounds now when he was preparing to fight Mike Tyson. He looked like he was close to that in this fight. Way bigger than Mike Perry at least. Mike Perry weighed under the weight limit, where Jake Paul had to cut weight to 200 pounds. Way bigger than Mike Perry, and even his jabs were rocking him. The heaviness of those punches, because of the weight advantage, was flinging Mike Perry around in that ring. Even he said it in the post-fight interview. The first knockdown didn't really rock him, like it didn't discombobulate him. The punch knocked him off balance, just because of how much stronger, more powerful, and heavy Jake Paul was compared to him. But the other knockdowns absolutely rocked Mike Perry. And there wasn't really anything too technical about it when you talk about like the skills of Mike Perry versus the skills of Jake Paul. Jake Paul could have threw anything at Mike Perry's head and it would have landed. And if Mike Perry was going to fight that way, might as well just throw hands with the guy the entire time. Test his cardio. He's bigger than you. He should be a lot easier to gas, right? Jake was busier with his hands. He was throwing more punches. He had more power, and somehow he was faster. Jake gained like 20 pounds, it seems like, and he got faster with it somehow. How is that possible? You guys see the way he was moving around the ring? Much faster than ever before. His punches were faster too. Even Mike Perry, who on paper should have had the speed advantage, was saying that Jake Paul was just way too fast for him. And it was evident with how he was throwing his punches and how he was moving around the ring. Jake being that fast is crazy. But he was throwing like the same kind of punches he usually throws, with similar kind of technique and form. The right hook, the jab, the left hook, landing an uppercut sometimes, and it was just target practice for Jake Paul. Mike Perry definitely showed his toughness. He took more brain damage in that fight than his entire combat sports career combined. It was pretty funny though when Mike Perry took him down with actual wrestling technique, had a body lock, threw him on the ground, and they said after the fight that they would love to do an MMA match or bare knuckle. And according to Jake Paul, he was supposed to do it with Nate Diaz before, but he said that Nate was the one that turned down the MMA match behind the scenes or whatever. But that's not the only match that Jake Paul wanted. He said next is Mike Tyson in October, and he's going to knock Mike Tyson out, most likely. Tyson's way too old at this point to be fighting Jake Paul, in my opinion. Jake's going to be more powerful, he's going to be faster, he's going to have a better chin, he's going to have better cardio. Physically, in every department, he's going to be better than Mike Tyson. He's also taller. He's also probably bigger at this point. He has a longer reach. All Tyson has against him is technique, pretty much. But with that technique, is he fast enough or strong enough to pull it off against Jake and win through that? Probably not at nearly 60 years old. So I do see Jake beating him in October, and then he called out Alex Pereira and said that he would love to fight Alex in boxing. Now that fight is most likely not going to happen, as he is the light heavyweight champion in the UFC, but good golly, he would destroy Jake Paul. Spamming left hooks and overhands with a defenseless jab is never going to beat Alex Pereira. Mike Perry was landing a few good left hooks on Jake Paul. One of those from Pereira would knock Jake Paul out. A single one of those punches. Now Jake has a decent chin. He ate a big shot from Tyron Woodley. He ate some big shots against Mike Perry, but those guys don't even have half of the power of Alex Pereira, or even close to the technique. Alex Pereira is more powerful than Jake, he's bigger than Jake, he's longer, taller, and way more skilled as a boxer. But I do respect the call out. But knowing Jake, he'd be waiting until Alex Pereira turns 50 years old before he ever fights him. I mean, can you imagine a fighter with those punches like this beating Alex Pereira, foot up in the air and everything, and his body is moving away from his punch, which is very opposite of what he actually wants to do? Or at least what most boxers would want to do. Maybe he did it on purpose though, who knows? Jake Paul may have some different kind of technique, I guess. So pretty interesting fights, both boxing and even MMA. The main card of the UFC fights were a lot better than people expected. Good brawls, good finishes, Amanda Serrano looking amazing. The fight before that, I forgot their names. I mainly keep up with MMA, I don't watch every boxer. But that combination, knocking out the opponent, right hand, left hook, whiplash in the opponent's head. But yeah man, good fights overall, and I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.